of seconds. And are we recording yet? Oh, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind. This is a special mastermind because we're going to be debriefing the Modern Mortgage Summit this Tuesday. Couldn't be more proud of that event. Todd, dude, thank you for everything you did. That event would not have happened without you. And we just had a blast working together on that, dude. So thank you so much, man.
You know, it was so much fun. I definitely exceeded my expectations when you talked about the studio and how great the output could be. I knew it would be good, but it definitely exceeded my expectations as well. I thought that the content that all of our teachers put together was just over the top, and the feedback we're getting is just continuing to blow me away with how much people appreciated it and got such takeaways from all the content that was put out.
I couldn't agree more. And while we said thank you to the Atlanta North studio, not only was it an amazing venue, but that crew was it was amazing of how they put all that content together. Something they had never done before. Like when we gave them the agenda, they thought we were crazy. Like they've never had, oh, you're going to fit in 30 plus speakers in 1 hour and have all these different sessions. They're like, we've never seen that done before, but okay, we'll try it. And an hour into it, they were like, this is the coolest thing we've ever seen. So it was a tremendous innovation in education virtually. And we've got a number of people that are going to give some debriefs today. So thank you guys. I want to kick it off with 3 things. One, while it was entertaining, it was awesome. It's only as valuable as the action you take after the event. So I want to encourage everybody, have a list. And it's okay if you've got a list of 25 things that you took that you want to implement, but make sure you have a number one. Like the number one thing I'm going to implement is, and do it. And what are the top 3 things that you're going to implement? And just chop wood, one action item at a time, implement. Personally, if you are not using Jeremy Forcier's, when people say thank you in process, you ask for a referral the way Jeremy does it. To me, that was the easiest, highest ROI idea of the day. It costs no money. It's super easy. Just when families say thank you while they're in process at clear to close or approval, ask them for a referral. You will get an ROI from that event if you implement that idea. Number 2, I thought Denise Donahue's strategy, in some ways was the most important from a differentiation standpoint. Like personally, multiple people that close over 500 loans a month. And I said, hey, what do you want to talk about? And they said, I want to talk about how I say no. And you had Shayla Gifford's, when it's a hell yes, I do it. And if it's not a hell yes, I say no. That was a good personal reminder for me. I don't think I say no enough to things, but I thought that what Denise shared, give good advice to people and then turn those into stories, turn that into infographics and market online. I thought maybe it's not the most important idea today, but as there will be a slowdown again, there will be price compression again, there is differentiation. It's a super smart idea today. And I think positioning yourself, branding yourself, and educating the general public that, you know what, I'm a mortgage strategist, I think is incredibly important for your future. So if you're listening to this, watch that one again and do what Denise does. And she gave you a resource to her marketing partner that helps her, check out that marketing partner. But I thought that was super important for the mortgage coach community. And then I want to shed a light on Dan Rawich. I've had a lot of feedback on how much people loved how Dan gives a lot of information in little time. Shayla Gifford actually reached out to me and said, I want to hire him to speak at my loan officer retreat. And the thing I love about Dan is he could talk about interest rates. He can talk about the stock market, but he knows mortgage strategy. He knows mortgage sales and marketing. So he can take that content and he can help you turn that into marketing. And so I want to push out to anyone that is doing a virtual event, an in-person event. Well, I don't want to speak for Dan. Maybe he doesn't want to travel to your in-person events. But if you are doing any sales rallies, any planning for next year, you're going to have a chief economist talk about where rates going and what are they doing. You need to hire Dan Rawich. So those were my 3 things to kick off today's call. I'm going to sit back and listen because we've got a lot of great leaders. Todd, why don't you take the lead in bringing people in and out of today's call? And I'm just going to take notes right now and learn from all these amazing leaders that we have on today's debrief.
Awesome, Dave. I think that what you said about taking action is so critical. One of the things that I loved was in the chat within the Leader Pass platform that we hosted the event, that there were people who actually sent out that email of Jeremy's live during the event and got referrals. So when Dave says take action, that is such an easy one to do. Now I've gotten a handful of video texts from people, either directly to me thanking me, or that they had sent to a realtor partner that they took action with. So those aren't huge, crazy things you need to do. They're just small steps that you can take now to make your business better. And so I just wanted to reiterate that part of jumping on there. My goal today is to hear from the wonderful people, since I see lots of rectangles here in Zoom. Dave mentioned Dan Rawich. Dan is here for a few minutes, so let's bring in Dan and let us know what you got going.
All right, thanks guys. Dave, I don't know if you're gone. I think you are. I know it's Kelly's birthday. Happy birthday, Kelly. And thanks for the kind words. Oh, and you look cold.
I'm not cold because I have a badass jacket, but it is cold. I'm in Bend, Oregon, and it's a little chilly.
Oh, I love Bend. It's my first long sleeve t-shirt of the year. So just that time of year, I guess. So, you know, I've been getting more and more questions about what the heck's happening with interest rates. Frankly, it's a little confusing to me because I keep seeing these headlines saying that mortgage rates are at an all-time low, but I keep seeing bond prices go into the toy. It's not looking good. But Dave, do you mind if I share my screen and just show a couple things real quick that I think might bring some comfort?
We like when you share your screens, bring us comfort, and share reality.
Okay. Now, this is a 4K monitor. I say that both to brag and to make sure that it's not like, I don't know how it's going to show up when I'm streaming. It might be too much. How does that look?
Looks great, Dan. Does
it? Okay. It's big. It's 43 inches. So look, you can see what's happened, and you can see where things got topped out. And I'm gonna make a point about that in a minute, because we saw this coming. And I'm not going to get overly, geeky here, but there are a lot of different indicators that tell you where things are going. One of them is, this is called the stochastic, and you don't even have to know what that means. What you have to know is when it gets above this green line, it's in the danger zone. It's overbought. And so you can see just how heated this became. And then when it starts its fall, it's not good. But more importantly, this is a proprietary index we call Money Stream, and this is measuring institutional money flow. So you can see about here, the money had left the building. It just started flowing out. And even as the stochastic showed some signs of life, it was not real, because it was little guys kind of bringing it up. The big traders were just continuing to exit bonds. And I've actually never seen more outflow in bond funds than I've ever seen. So that was scary. But some time ago, I told our market mentor group that it was coming, one, because of what I just showed you, and two, because back then, about the August, September timeframe, up in this left-hand corner, it said TLT. It did not say ECH. ECH is the Chile optics. So we measure everything from how hot another country is, not hot and heat, but overbought. So you can see copper is probably going to come down hard soon. You can see natural gas is overbought, and these indexes are incredibly reliable. Like I just took a short position in utilities because of this. So here's the good news. It went from here, ECH, to here. Now it's tiny, but you can see the TLT index. If I click on this, it's now really oversold. This is about as bad as it gets. The last time it got this oversold, you can see what happened. So think about this being the price of bonds, which means if this goes up, rates go down. And you can see here when it got incredibly oversold, price came up quite a bit. You can see here when it got incredibly oversold. And by the way, this line is almost very close to this line. So price got oversold. It got oversold, price jumped. We're there right now. We're there. So, and maybe, I don't know. I don't want to jinx us. Oh, my dog's going crazy. Oh, it's Loki. There's this like neighborhood hood dog. He's like a pit bull mix something. His name is Loki. And he comes into the neighborhood and he knocks up the girl dogs and he beats up the boy dogs and he's bitten a couple people. My dog, he'll jump the fence when he sees Loki. It's not a big fence. He's a big German Shepherd. And then he just takes him down. And then he like holds his throat. But he never hurts him. And then 5 minutes later, they're playing like they're best friends. But Oliver goes crazy when he sees Loki. And if I say the word Loki, Oliver's like, where is he? Okay, sorry. Squirrel. So we're getting a bounce today. And yesterday I showed this area again to our market mentor group. And a couple things happened. One, this is the 200-day moving average. And when anything gets below it, I don't care, stocks, bonds, whatever, it's never a good thing. But I also shared that there's only been a few times in history that the price has stayed above the 200-day moving average for as long as it has. This is maybe 5 times in history. And then I back tested and said, every time that's happened since 1965, when it finally came back down to the 200-day moving average, was that good or bad? And since 1965, virtually every time price got too far away, came back down to home, things got much better. So that's really cool. And then I just captured this for our group. Where'd you go? Here. This might be a little hard to see, but the whole idea here is kind of the same idea. Bonds have a volatility index, just like stocks do. Again, I won't get too geeky here, but it's called ICE. And when volatility goes up in bonds, typically prices go up. And so we can see that we have one of the top readings that we've had, top 10% since 1989. So again, when volatility goes up, price goes up. It's not a good thing. So then we back tested and said, all right, what's happened every other time volatility's jumped that much? And what you can see here is going back to 1988, every time what I just said has happened, over the next week, 2 weeks, month, blah, 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 you can see that yields have fallen. So we have a lot of evidence that said this market is way oversold, and I think that we're going to get a bounce. James Adair on the Mortgage Coach site asked this morning on Facebook, and I didn't get a chance to answer, do I think this is election related? I think everything is to a certain extent. And so the belief here, and this is, I want to be careful to be completely non-political, which is hard, but I'm going to do it. There is a belief that if Biden wins, then we may just see massive stimulus. We may see entitlement programs go up, And I believe that is driving bond prices right now. I believe that there's a concern that we might see the deficit just get too crazy. And then, of course, we may lose Powell, and we might get somebody else in that might have a different opinion of interest rates. So I think this is a little bit pre-selling prior to the election. Now, here's the good news. I think all the selling's almost done, and the market doesn't like to be surprised, so it'll react to the worst case. So Biden comes in,
Yes or not?
No.
I think rates go down. I do, because it's already factored it in. So that's all I got. Sorry if I took too long. Let me unshare.
No, that was awesome. So if I'm hearing you correctly, Dan, then you feel like people who are panicking to lock before the election, that's a panic, and that maybe there's some hope.
Yeah. I think well, not lock. I think bond buyers are saying, you know what, I'm just going to get out for a while. There's one more factor, and that is, I should have had this for you guys, but right now, stock market yields are like multiple times better than bond yields, and people need yield right now. So a lot of people are dumping bonds and going into the stock market. That's not going to last either, because the stock market is sometimes going to have a big fat correction.
Awesome. Well, thanks for making time, Dan. We know you're busy and have to jump, so we always appreciate what you've got to say.
All right, thanks, Keith.
All right, gang. So
jump ahead and have a good flight.
Awesome. Oh, and where can they find you, Dan? Market Mentor. What's the best way to reach out if they want to get into your Market Mentor program?
The website is marketmentorship.com, and it's pretty simple. We just teach you how to be a market mentor. We teach you to talk about what I talk about, and we try to make it as simple as possible. It's cheap. It's $25 a month, and we give you content every day. We give you talking points, and you get these live updates. Exactly what I just did, twice a day. So it kind of keeps our group in the know. That's it. Marketmentorship.com.
Love it.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
Dan.
prompting me to sell that. Okay. Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Always, always. So, all right. So now we're going to get on to talking about Tuesday's event and what people thought. And I'm going to call on none other than Keith Collins to kick us off. Keith is getting ready to jump on a plane, so I appreciate you making time to be here.
For sure, man. Yeah, thank you. Dan's so amazing, man. I love people just being who they are and just seeing the joy in that, man. Like him telling that story about his dog. That's awesome. It's so cool. Super, super authentic, and he's just happy. So, hey, man, this conference, the summit that you put together, I thought was phenomenal. And I want to speak to really three things that I grabbed from this, but more, I'm a producing leader, but I want to speak more to as a actual leader as opposed to a producer right now, with some of the things that I'm seeing, and then some of the themes that I grabbed from this. And really the three things that I grabbed was committed to excellence, common people doing extraordinary things, and margin. And so what I mean by committed to excellence is, and just to the keynote speakers, like it's crystal clear that those individuals have committed to being excellent, have made investments in their business. That was some of the best production by originators that I've ever seen, right? Dan, like everybody needs to watch Dan's video multiple times. The way that he produced that, put that together, the equipment that was used, his poise, his presence, it's just clear that those individuals are committed to being better tomorrow than they are today. And what I would probably say, and I think I don't know them personally, but I'm pretty sure all of them have been coached or are being coached. Pretty sure all of them probably have a mentor, and I'm about 100% positive every single one of them have been to Amplify. And it's clear that they have invested in themselves, and when you watch them, it's amazing. And so, leading into that second thing, and I see this a lot, is I want to remind, and I hope this doesn't come off as taken away from when I say common people doing extraordinary things. And I speak specifically maybe Dan's story where he talked about, 2015 being broke. Like, there are people, I talk to originators often, and they put people like Denise and Dan on a pedestal, and they think, how could I ever, right? And that is, and I want to encourage people that's not the right mentality. The right mentality is that you absolutely can. There are people in your lives that open doors for you. You know how to exist in that door. You know what's behind that door. And once you go into that room, like, you can be that person, but you need the people to open doors. So look at them more so as people who open doors for you to be better and show you how to do something different. Because the other, right, comparing yourselves to others as opposed to comparing yourself to yourself is more of a negative mindset. Right? You need to be authentically yourself. And that's what's just Sean. Like, I've never had a conversation with Sean, but he's like one of my favorite people in the mortgage industry to follow right now, because it's so clear. Like, he just lives his authentic self. And one of the things that he said, and I just thought it was so perfect, is, and I may mess this up, but he said, being authentic repels people that you don't want to work with. And I'm like, dude, that's so true. And just the joy that this guy has, I'm envious every time I see him, dude. He's working in a van out in nature. Like, there was like some kind of bird chirping when he was on top of the roof. It was phenomenal. And the guy's happy and he's crushing it. And so I would just encourage people that your attitude determines your altitude. Do not compare yourselves to others, but invest in yourself and just focus on being better tomorrow than you are today. And then the third one is really margin. And what I mean by this is, we all have some margin in our life right now. And you might say, well, I'm at over capacity. I'm not talking about that kind of margin. I'm talking about financial margin. We are having amazing years right now, but we also have very short-term memories. And I was having this conversation last night with another originator on how quickly this industry has changed. If we look at 2018 versus 2020, there are reports where in 2018, they were saying that 30% originators are going to be out of business by 2020. And now all of a sudden, we've got every originator in America trying to do an IPO. Like, how much has that changed in a 24-month period of time? And I'm having conversations with originators that are thinking that, and they're talking about the goals that they're hitting and the numbers that they're doing like it's them. And I would argue to say, yes, 100%. Like, the people on this call are having amazing years because of the planting that they've done in 16, 17, and 18, and 19, and now they're reaping that harvest. But if interest rates were 4.5% this year, we wouldn't be having the years that we're having. And interest rates are going up. They are going up in the future. Bill Hart did a video. It's called Get Off My Lawn. And I think it's one of the best videos in the mortgage industry. You all have to watch it. And his whole thing is like, stop talking about the the accomplishments that you're doing and start investing in your business to build something special. And I think that's where we really need to focus on right now with the margin that we have. We are blessed with some financial margin in our businesses. And I just would encourage everybody, and that's what I'm getting from this. When you look at all these people, right? You look at Dan and Denise and Sean and the presentations that they're putting together, they have invested in our, so we're talking with Dan right before we got on this call, and you just got all of his equipment from Ryan Grant. He just spent a whole bunch of money on improving a video game that's already ridiculously strong. So I would just encourage everybody to take that margin and don't go buy a new AMG. Go invest in your business. That's my soapbox, and that's what I really took from really this summit. So appreciate it.
I love those takeaways. I think it's so critical, you know, and I love the fact that, you know, Dan shared that where he was financially, you know, years ago. And I think there's so many of us who have those same stories, and there's no doubt that, yeah, you don't need a new car. You probably need to invest in something. And, you know, certainly a lot of you did. You invested in being at the event. Dave and I owe Keith a big apology because we have some videos of Keith's that'll be going, that didn't get put live into the event, that'll be in for your bonus content. They're building out the back end as we speak today of the Leader Pass for the summit, and we'll actually have some additional bonus material from Keith. So many apologies, Keith, for the fact that somehow that slipped through the cracks. So I was so grateful that you could be here today, so I could apologize in person. And I love those takeaways. And you know, our goal today really is to go around the room. You guys can't tell who all we have here. We got some monster of our presenters, some who are having some technical difficulties. So we'll see if we can bring them in or not. But I got Dan and Denise here. Do either of you guys have a question for Keith or feedback on what Keith said?
I'm good. Hey, I'm listening to that summit recap. Can I come back at 11?
I got somebody that is. Oh, there we go. All right.
Hey.
All right. We're working on that one. Sorry about that. All right. So I love what Keith said. Dan and Denise, do either of you guys have any comments on what he threw out there?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan the man.
Yeah. Keith's spot on. I mean, I took down, Dave asked me to come on this morning and talk about a couple of things, which, by the way, can you guys hear me? This is my first time. It's my first dry run with my new technology, my microphone, my video. Am I good?
You are awesome.
Okay. I feel weird, man, because everything's right here and I'm used to being away. So, I mean, you might see the pores on my nose and you might have to excuse those for a minute, but, you know, I wrote the same thing down as Keith. The thing about all of the keynote speakers that I know is that we're all professionally coached. And what I loved most about it is, hey, Jeremy, Shayla, me, off the top of my head, I know, Kelly, we're in the core, but then there's other people like Josh and there's so many other people, Denise, that have tied into other coaches. And I've been coached by Bill Hart too. So Bill Hart's in my DNA. And that's the one thing that if you're listening to this, professional coaching is so big. None of us would be where we're at without professional coaching. One of the reasons why I'm personally at Cross Country Mortgage is because of Jeremy Forcier. And I know why you just connect the dots. I know Michael Mayer talks about the great retrace. I do this with all of my clients. The great retrace is tracing back how you met someone or why you're where you're at. I'm at Cross Country because of Jeremy. Jeremy's at Cross Country because of Scott Foreman. I know Scott Foreman. And just to see the lineage of all these people that have been coached, that live their life with purpose, that have a business that I want to have. That's why I look up to Jeremy. Jeremy looks up to Scott. Scott looks up to, you see what I'm saying? And so I think a lot of the presenters, one, have all been professionally coached and are being professionally coached and are continuing to work on their business. Number two, Keith knocked it out of the park. And I know Coach Bill Hart made that video. And it's so, you can interpret it a couple of different ways that get off my lawn, but really, like, we have no business bragging. We have no business making the money that we're making right now selling mortgages. Don't fool yourself. Like, we're not that valuable. And I go to bed every night and I'm just like, this is crazy. Never in a million years did I imagine it was gonna be this easy to make this kind of money. And I share this with you because it's so important to take advantage of the money that you're making. So what are you doing with that money? Are you investing it into the stock market, into real estate? You better be. The other thing is cars don't really appreciate. And so I agree with Keith 100%. In fact, you know, we just went out and bought a car a few months ago, and we actually downgraded. Like this kind of money that we're having an opportunity to make has made me reevaluate financially where I'm at. I don't need this. Okay, let's go with that. And sold my boat. So, you know, I'd rather have $130,000 in the stock market in 2021 instead of a boat sitting in my driveway that I'm going to use 8 times a year. And so this has allowed me to kind of reevaluate financially where I'm investing. So one, I'm investing my money that we're having an opportunity to make. Number 2, I'm investing in ourselves. So I'm going to my 4th Amplify. I think all the speakers, I think Todd said this, all the speakers, I'm pretty sure, have gone to Amplify. And so that's really big. So investing in yourself. I upgraded my video, my audio. Denise inspires me on so many levels with content creation. I mean, I thought I created good content, and then I see the nerd out of Texas just freaking killing it with content. Keith Collins doing the same thing. I mean, I can't log on to Facebook without seeing another video that Keith does. And so we're making this money, we're overpaid, we got to give back. And so giving back to our clients, giving back to the clients that we've helped, giving to clients that we don't even know we have, with financial education, financial literacy. And so I think those are 2 big takeaways. The last, and Keith hit this right out of the park, so I just have to say this. I'm a high school baseball coach, and I teach my kids this one simple truth, that successful people do common things uncommonly well. And I'll tell you what, if you're watching this and you're closing $10 million a year in production, or you're closing $100 million a year in production, I can tell you that every single one of the speakers, the keynote speakers, the how-to speakers, we all are fundamentally sound in our business. And so I would have you focus on the fundamentals. All the other stuff is, the wow isn't going to get you to where Keith, Denise, Sean, where all of us are, Jeremy. It's the fundamentals. And one last thing. I'm looking at Denise on the screen right now, and Sean. I can remember a phone conversation I had with Sean like 3 years ago. I was in Spokane, Washington. He calls me. He's like, dude, I'm making the plunge. I'm getting in mortgage 100% full time. And I just seeing how far he's come in such a short amount of time. Denise, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago when I met you. I think you were doing like $30 or $40 million in production. I was kind of right there with you. And then a couple of years ago, you whooped my ass and you passed me. And I'm like, holy shit, she's got 150 freaking Zillow reviews. I've got 40. And so this community is inspiring. It's helped me grow. And so I would encourage you just to dial into a lot of these people, find what they're doing, see what they're doing, be inspired, but understand that underneath the glasses with Denise, and underneath the mobile mortgage mobile that Sean's got, and underneath everything you might see with me, incredible fundamentals.
You know, it's funny you say that, because it's the whole idea of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And one of the big comments that Dave and I have gotten in the feedback, we've got a survey out there. So if you guys are in the Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind group, you'll see we both posted that survey in there. If you were at the event, we would love your feedback. And it's crazy. A lot of people just said how authentic you all were, that it wasn't sleazy selling, and that really you were coming from the heart, and people just so appreciated the fact of all the things that you guys shared. So I love the fact that you're hammering on that again today. What about you, Denise? What were your big takeaways?
So I would actually say a lot of what Keith and Dan said, but something that really hit home to me that Keith mentioned was, especially in the era that we're in, there is so much comparison that's done with social media. I mean, for those of you who have kids, it's like, it's actually not a good thing. And it's a subconscious thing that oftentimes people don't even realize they do. Some of you guys know I have an identical twin sister, and when she got into the mortgage business, it was actually really tough for her, because in her mind, it was like, well, if my twin sister can do this, then I should be able to do it. And there was this comparison of where I am versus where she is. And I'm like, Deborah, I got into this business in 2012. I've been building my database. I've been building my brand exposure. You can't compare my chapter 10 to your chapter 1, even though we have the same DNA. And so I think for a lot of the people that are watching this, it it sometimes can mentally psych you out. It's like the movie Tin Cup. It's an old school movie, but remember in Tin Cup when he had to like take all the money out of his pocket and move it to the left side and take the golf pin, and so sometimes I think in this world you can get off your game because you're comparing yourself. And so I think that that's something that for those of us who have teams, it's just something to be mindful of. I actually met Dan. He probably doesn't know this, but I met Dan in 2000. I didn't meet him. It's when my I guess my mentorship happened in 2012. I got licensed in April and I went to my very first sales mastery. It's where I met Bill Hart and Dave Savage for the first time. And I saw Dan up on stage and I was like, God, I want to be like that guy. He is so smart. He has an education approach. And that's how I started. I followed Dan. I'd reach out to him. And I think that's something that's really special with the community that Dave and Utah have created is this environment and culture of these really top producing mortgage officers that are so willing to share everything. Like I've asked Dan a million times on your beers and home buying, like how the heck do you get people to show up? What do you do? What's your presentation? And it's just like, here's my PowerPoint. And none of us have a scarcity mindset. You know, Wally's literally in the same city that I'm in. And all the time I'm looking at him like, damn you, Wally, like, how are you at the lake every week right now? I am like getting up at 5 a.m. and I am working because I can work from 5 to 7 before my kiddo gets up. And I'm looking at Instagram and you're freaking at the lake with your kids. Like I'm not doing life right now. And so I just say I love this community because it can humble you and people are so willing to share, and all of us are at different levels and journeys. And there's just so much of it in our world, how that matters. The only other thing I would say is when Dan's talking about, yes, we're making unbelievable money. Anybody that knows my story, I don't even know. There's just times where I'm like, how do we get paid this much money? Like, I feel like I should be some sort of doctor or something more in my life than this, but invest in your spouse and invest in your kids. And I don't just mean throw money at them. I mean with your time, because I think this year more than ever, I've had to have some moments with my husband, like I am tired. Are you in this with me? Or do we want to keep pushing the gas to the pedal? Because I've literally said, I want to shut off my refis to only my Nerd Club alum repeat clients because I just literally can't do it. I'm not hiring fast enough. Even when I hire, I have to train. And even though I've been not as present in my household, I get the buy-in from my husband of like, no, let's finish the year out strong. We're going to build a house. We live a modest life, but we're building a house. We're building it around our needs so that when his family comes in, they have a place to stay. And so with all of that, we are super blessed. But like Bill Hart has said, it's culture over the cash. And that doesn't just mean your work culture. That means your household culture. And they don't care how much money you're making if you're not present at home, because that money can't buy your time with them and the family. So definitely pour into your family. And I don't just mean throw money at them. I mean, men, sit down and have that glass of wine and watch The Bachelorette with your wife, because that's what we like to do. So don't lose sight of that stuff either.
I think that's so important. We got a lot of positive feedback about Josh Metal talking about his daily routine, and it was at the end of the day, and we had a lot of people, and there was obviously 9 hours we went, so it was definitely a long day. And so I love you bringing that up, Denise, because I know I've heard you be interviewed earlier this year talking about the fact that you were working on refinances after the kids went to bed, and that you really were, stretching yourself out there, but you had that commitment in conversation with your husband that, where you asked for that extra grace. So how else would you encourage people who are overdoing it now and maybe have burned a few bridges, with family? What would your suggestion be for them?
I think just like anything, I mean, I'm big on time blocking. I'm big on working around my schedule, and you have to date your children and you have to date your spouse. And so that means that if it's been a couple of months and you're like, holy crap, it's been 2 months before I've done anything, then you have to put it on your calendar, just like we as business people do for everything else. And I think the dating your kid, I have one kid, he's 3, but there are certain weekends out of my month that come hell or high water, I am dating my kid. what does he want to do? What is he into? It's not about me or what I want. And so if you don't go, if you're missing a couple of big games of your kids, or, you know, that dance recital for your daughter, those are the moments in life that you'll never get back. I fortunately had a dad that took me to every sporting event because sports was how he connected with his daughters. And so I'm grateful for that. But so I wasn't raised where my dad wasn't around for those sporting events. That's the only thing we connected on as a daughter to a man, to her dad. But I would just say, you've got to have those conversations. You've got, when you're at dinner, even having the conversations with your kids that, you know, mommy's working a lot. And I try to get them involved. My kid's 3. He doesn't even know, you know, he's got a fireman helmet on with no pants half the time. But we've got little play money. And so we do things like, okay, if you do your chores, we put this fake Monopoly money in your bank account, and we're going to build towards a toy or build towards an asset, because everything we do in life is, you have to earn it. And so it's those things that you can't, just like with our employees, you can't tell them once and expect them to get it. And you probably are coming home a little bit crankier or short tempered, because if you've got a staff and loans aren't closing or they're rolling, or you've got to shut that stuff off, and you've got to program on your calendar, okay, this is going to be date night with my spouse, and then I'm going to date my kid on this day, and I'm going to do it every month, no matter how bad my day, even if it just means going to get some ice cream with your kid. Let your wife have a bubble bath, you take the kids out, and, you know, happy spouse, happy house. So you got to do that.
I love it. I love it. In fact, it's funny because once I get done here, my daughter invited me out on a date. She knows I have to run and pick up actually the hard drive that has the recording of the Modern Mortgage Summit on it. She's like, Dad, I'm going to go with you so you're not alone, and we can drive through Starbucks. So that's her. She's all excited about it. So I love you saying that. And that's one of the things, we mentioned Bill Hart a lot, but that's one of the things I learned when Bill was my coach, was to treat my wife like royalty, and be the dad that, you know, that I wanted to be. So I love you saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Bill is like the man with that stuff. He like writes little notes, and he's man goals right there for all the men on here.
Well, just watch him on Facebook, right? You can see how he puts Tony, his bride, up on that pedestal, and how he treats her. And I've gotten to see it firsthand and learn that, you know, from Daniel Harkavy, who I had on here last week, and how he and his wife Sherry are. And just when you're around people who treat those most important relationships like they do, it's infectious, and it certainly made me want to be a better dad and a better husband, and, you know, certainly the thing I continue to strive to be every day. All right, so talking about authentic, you know, I was talking about my wife. My wife's favorite moment of the summit was when Sean Herrero jumped onto the top of his van. So of course we got to bring on Sean. He's been sitting here quietly watching, and since then I know you've gone out fishing on your jet ski to grab some halibut. What's up, Sean? What were your big takeaways from the event on Tuesday?
I thought it was a great event. I'm not a big virtual guy. Like, the fact that we have to do continuing education this year online is going to be, I haven't done it yet because I keep putting it off. I always learn from like I'm learning right now, like everything Keith, Dan, and the nerd said, like it doesn't end. And so for me, like, I don't have a big team, you know, and that was one of my big takeaways, is like everything Denise just said really resonates with me. I'm not present with my family whatsoever right now. And I've been thinking about, do I grow a team? And there's the, do I hire more people? But we know rates are going to go up and this is going to end. So do I have enough people, or do I not? Do I just keep sucking it up and working from 4 a.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Sunday? Or do I staff knowing that my intention is to continue to grow, right? So those are the kind of things that I took away and thinking of. And I love, even just, sorry, I guess I'm more like, I got a lot out of this, just, I don't know what time it is, but for how long we've been on here, what Dan said was great. It just how important the fundamentals are. And I think people, like, it's a lot of fun for me to work from this thing, but you can't, if you either a marketer or a salesperson, is what Renee always says. You can't do either one of those things if you don't have the fundamentals down. Like, I'm fortunate enough that I was a wholesale rep, and I've solved more mortgage brokers' deals going sideways than probably anybody. So I have a great background in the fundamentals that is a blessing for me for jumping into this when I did. But without those fundamentals, nobody cares how cool your office is, or your you know, the mortgage, like nobody cares about your brand if you're not good at manufacturing your product. So I don't know, it was one of the first virtual summits that I think I actually went through, and I'm actually, it is recorded and we can watch it again, right?
Yeah, just jump back in the past and you'll see it's got up top, it's got the actual full recording, which we're going to cut the 30 minutes countdown off as soon as we can. That's why I'm going to get that hard drive today. And then over to the right, it's got a link to, we had Dave and I did I guess a summary, you'd call it, of the keynotes. So those are there. And then we've got Dan's documentation that he provided there. And we've reached out to other speakers to get any documentation that they said they had, or scripts, or the email templates. So we'll hopefully get those in there. And then you'll also see we've got the individual talks, about 75% of them already in there. It's going to get a facelift and reorganized over the weekend and next week. We should have everything in there. So it should be easy for all of you who bought to get back in there and see it. You have access for 30 days. And so I appreciate you bringing that up, Sean.
Yeah, and for me, that's, you know, I'm multitasking. That's why I like doing continuing ed in person, because then I can't multitask. I have to be present. And I wasn't as present then, but I'm excited to go back through the content and learn more. And the biggest thing for me, I don't have a coach. I never have. And I probably should. So there's a lot of these people that I get to learn from that I think are so incredible. They're doing things I'm not doing, right? And so there's a common denominator, like Dan said. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of for myself is, okay, maybe it is time to step up and go to Amplify. Maybe it is time to get a coach. Maybe it is time to hire another assistant. I have zero intentions of having my business go down when the market shifts. Like, I'm already thinking of, okay, what's the next, when rates go up, what are the solutions we'll provide to people? What do we serve at that point? And so you have to be thinking of those things. And like I love the humility of everyone that's here is, don't go buy the new car. Like, I was talking to Bill Hart, and he goes, "What are you doing with your money?" And I go, I'm a chipmunk, man. It's all stacked away. I've bought nothing. I want a new van so bad, but I can't, this one works. It's fine. You know, I don't, the humility and the humbleness I love compared to what I've seen of other people who fake it. There's a few mortgage people I've seen that just do this super cheesy sales and giant fancy suits and cars. And I want to make a video making fun of those people and like truly talking about being authentic, because everyone here, everyone who was on that call, I haven't met Keith yet, but you can just feel how authentic and humble he is. Like, that's what I get excited about and is inspiring to me, is seeing these people who are on such another level that are just being themselves and doing their thing. And it's not a show, it's all real. And that's what everybody wants. You know, nobody wants the sales guy. You know, it isn't what it's, and I don't think they ever did. So I'm really grateful to you guys for putting that together. I thought it was incredible, and I'm excited to go back and watch it over and over and over again. So thank you.
Awesome. No, we're so grateful that you jumped in, Sean. It's been fun to have you part of the community, and people just love the fact that you're the guy in the van. And I guess, did you catch any halibut when you're on that jet ski?
No. So it was a train wreck. It didn't work out at all. And I think one thing for me, I've never had a coach. I've never had a mentor. Well, I do have a mentor. My mentor he's really become a big brother. He's a Navy SEAL, and that community resonates with me because I've always been into really, really pushing and challenging myself. And I've always started with, I wonder if, or I like proving people wrong. Like, when I first started doing this, I was a wholesale, an assistant to the #1 wholesale rep at Washington Mutual in 2001. And it was just a great opportunity. I had no idea what mortgage was. I didn't know what people made, right? I wanted to be a game warden when I grew up. And, he made $800,000 that year. And I overheard him talking to a friend. I just like jaw dropped, like, people make more than $100,000. I thought 100,000 was a lot. I was talking to my dad, and he's like, you'll never be there. You'll never be that person. And that was just like, I'm going to do it to prove you wrong. Like, it's not about the money. I'm just going to prove you wrong. And so I had this like inherent, I don't even know what to call it. So for me, when I tried to do the jet ski thing, my goal was, I've worked in my garage on that jet ski, because the way the ice chest sits kind of becomes a desk. Because if my son's asleep, I can't talk on the phone inside the house. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I could do this from the water, you know, because then maybe this will work. And I always start with I wonder. And a lot of the times those I wonders work out. So what I would encourage anyone here to do is, if you have an idea, act on it. You know, there's a reason that gut feeling is probably right. So if you have an idea, try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, so out of that day, took me an hour to get to the ocean, an hour to get home. That's 2 hours I could have been working. It didn't, the swell was horrible. The conditions didn't work the way they were supposed to, but I got a marketing photo out of it, right? I got to tell a story, and that's what we're doing. We want to story tell online. You want to be yourself, and you can admit when things don't work. You know, it doesn't always have to be a success story.
Love it. I think that, a big part of the story is the fact that it didn't work out how you had hoped it would, but you at least made the effort to do it, where most people would have continued to say, I wonder if, and then never actually done it.
Yeah, you got to act on the I wonder.
I can't believe it. All right, so we've only got 13 minutes left, and I've got 3 superstars still here on the call. So I feel like, gosh, but with you and with the 3 of you here, Sean, Denise, and Dan, any other takeaways that someone wants to jump in? I guess Dan, why don't you go, and then I'll get Denise and you and Sean each on here to give a little more of a closeout with me. Dan, what else are you thinking after hearing Sean and Denise talk?
Yeah, sorry about that. I was on mute. I think I want to close with this, and I think this is so big. Anyone listening, here's your nuggets right now. Sean just presented it. He teed it up for all of us. It's the number one question right now. I think all of us are asking ourselves, what are we going to do when rates go up? When rates go up? What are we going to do when this refi boom ends? Denise mentioned it. Sean mentioned it. I was coached on it just yesterday. So I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, and then maybe we can go around the table and share what we're doing. But it's really, really simple. I don't call 40 realtors on Monday. I just don't. I think a big thing in our coaching community is that you spend Monday calling realtors. I don't. But what I do right now, and I will continue doing this, and my coach told me this yesterday, Josh Sigmund. He's an absolute stud. If you don't know who Josh Sigmund is, look him up. Talk about an icon and a hero. He's got it all. He's got it all. Great family man, great business, great loan officer. He said, make a promise to yourself. Like, identify how many realtors you're going to call. You're going to call them on Friday, and you're going to let them know you're available, period. I don't care if it's 3. I don't care if it's 10. I don't care if it's 30. But make the promise to yourself and just do it. And do that for the next 6 months, every single Friday. That right there, because I get the whole paralysis by analysis. I look at my list of 30 on Monday, and I'm like, I get through 4 and it's 11 o'clock. And I'm like, no, I gotta get moving. So that's the biggest thing. The first thing that I'm doing right now is I'm being intentional on the 10 real estate agents that I call every single Friday. And it's just, and this is crazy right now. Lenders aren't calling realtors. So you're going to stand out like a sore thumb. So that's the first thing. The second thing is what Denise is doing, what Sean's doing, what Michelle's doing, what all of us, Keith, are doing right now is creating content. What we're doing right now is we're making ourselves valuable in the marketplace. Now you can take it to another level, 2 levels. You can go to Amplify and you can learn how to speak. You can learn how to create content. Number 2, you can learn how to run Facebook ads to get your message out to more people. So that's the second. And then the third thing, Sean, build a team. My best advice to anyone, if you want to scale, if you want to have I work 38 to 42 hours a week. I'm closing 63 loans this month. I'm present with my wife. I'm helping her in her business. I'm with both of my kids who are learning remote right now. It's because I have an incredible team. And so those are the 3 tips. That's what I'm doing right now to prepare for rates going up in the coming year.
I love it. I think that's so critical. And I love the fact that you brought it up again, that you're not doing what you normally did on a Monday, but now you're committed to do something on a Friday. And I don't think, whatever that number is, I think 10's the great number, right? If you're not calling realtors right now, maybe today, when you get done with this call, find 10 people that you're going to actually reach out to and make a promise to yourself, as Dan did to himself. I think that's huge advice. One thing I should throw in there, because Sean talked about how boring CE is. If you guys don't know who Ken Perry is, we've had him on here before. The Knowledge Coop, go to the Knowledge Coop and get their CE. It is the best CE ever. It's got all these videos in it. It'll be fun. So if you're going to sit at home and watch it, don't use the company junk you get. Actually get knowledge coops, it'll be worth it because you'll actually at least enjoy the fact that you have to be tortured for a day. So I guess I have to throw in a pitch for my good friend Ken Perry. He normally flies into Arizona and trains my team and does all their CE, and this year they're all doing it remote. That was great, Dan. How about you, Denise?
So same thing is, I think it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do when rates go up? I'm sure it's in some book I've read or from some mastermind I've been to, but at the end of the day, businesses go up and businesses go down. Thankfully, knock on wood, since 2012 when I got in this business, our business has increased year over year. But this year it's a little bit scary. Last year I think I closed 90 million, and right now we're at 143. And so that's a big growth. And so I keep trying to tell my team, like, don't expect this next year. I know we've grown every year, but don't expect it. And then I started telling myself, like, no, I shouldn't be saying that. Yes, there's a refi boom, but this year it has exposed a lot of holes in our process, which I thought I've designed a pretty darn good process until you do a stress test, which is what they call it in that Bar Rescue TV series. It's like we experienced some stress tests this year, which is fun for me because I'm kind of obsessed with process and efficiency. And so I've got to redesign a bunch of things and restructure some things. And it's got my creative juices going of, well, why do we do it this way? Just because the manufacturing process has always been LOA to send to processing, to send to underwriting, and then the underwriting review. Why do we do it that way? Why don't we flip the script a little bit? Let's get crazy, which sounds nutty when you're experiencing all-time high production levels. But with COVID, everybody's kind of like, well, with COVID, it's kind of a good excuse when things go a little sideways to be like, oh, well, with COVID, it's just, XYZ. So we've done some creative manufacturing things this year due to our stress tests, and they've really been paying off. And it's just direct submitting to underwriting. And we totally took that processing review out of it. We've saved 8.6 days on our turn times, which is great. The second thing is like what Dan's saying, he made a commitment to making outbound phone calls on Friday. I've always been on social media. I've always been intentional on social media, but the biggest game changer I did at the beginning of this year is hired a company to assist me with this, that speaks my language, that knows mortgage, knows all the disclosure stuff, that you can't use trigger words and things like that, because now what I've done is I've said, this is my thing, but I don't have time to post on every platform and research the hashtags that need to be there. But I need somebody that understands my brain of I'm a strategist. And so I finally found a company that helps me with that. And they do up to 5 posts a week on my behalf. I get to approve them all a week in advance, edit any captions to make sure that it's in my voice, but I don't actually have to do the work. And believe it or not, you don't think that it's time consuming, but it's freaking time consuming to come up with the graphic and the wording and the hashtags. And then I don't have to worry about any of that. So when I got busy with actually handling a pipeline, which I don't normally do in my job role, my social media was still very consistent. And what it's done is it's created realtors calling me now, where I don't have to set aside time to necessarily call new agents, but they're calling me because there's a lot of loan officers that have dropped the ball on purchase business. And so it's been pretty interesting, even for the new loan officers out there that are, they don't have teams established, or maybe they don't have a roster of realtors yet. Man, this is like game time for you. This is when your starting quarterback is sick, they sprain their ankle, and it's your time to shine. It's your time to take the ball and say, I'm willing to grind, I'm willing to work. And you can actually you can probably perform better right now than some of these loan officers that you idolize, because we got a lot going on and we might drop the ball and we might fumble. And so I'd say committing to a social media presence is important. And I think I've shared this before. I have a private Facebook group for exclusive realtor partners that makes them feel special. And so the thing that this company helps me with, and the thing kind of how I leverage myself to them, is realtors suck at social media. They suck at graphic design. It's not their skill set. It's not our skill set. And so a lot of the times what I do is I get these graphics made and they send them to me, sometimes non-branded, And I'm now solving a problem for my realtor partners that's like, you know, here's a beautiful graph about our inventory right here in DFW and why now is the time to consider selling. I throw that into my private group. I'm not actually posting it to my networks as the mortgage nerd. I'm posting it into my private group to say, you can swipe and adapt. Here's the caption I would use, because they do look at me like a marketing expert. And so now I'm like, it doesn't have to have the mortgage nerd stuff on it. I don't want the mortgage nerd stuff on it. I want you getting this information to your networks, because if I can help you market, it's going to come back to me anyways. And so that's been a game changer for me. I know I'm kind of coined as this marketing queen, but I've had some help lately, and it's been such a game changer for me to not have to feel like I'm doing it all on my own, but it still feel authentic. That's what I'm so anal about, is like, I don't want it to not feel like the nerd. And so that would be my feedback. Delegate. We think about delegating from a team manufacturing process, but don't be shy to delegate stuff like that. You just got to find the right company that can deliver your voice still.
I love it. I love that you guys are both so focused on 2021, and that was really one of the big parts of what we really wanted as a desired outcome of the Modern Mortgage Summit, was for everyone to come away with ideas to not just finish out 2020 strong, but really be pushed forward into 2021. All right, Sean. So you're going to get the last word. Anything different that you think you're going to be implementing? You know, Dan and Denise just talked about rates possibly going up and what they're doing with realtors. How about you?
A lot of the same. I mean, I want to keep the social media thing going. I think that's a big place to be. Like Dan said, if you're not doing Facebook ads, it's the best place to put your money currently. But you have to be smart about it, make it about them, not about you, right? I always come from a place of service. Education, you know, I think that's a big piece. I've been getting a lot of leads from YouTube for making educational videos, and I saw Dan doing that. I'm like, man, people really watch all these. And so again, it's that service. If you have clients that are asking you questions a lot, that common question should automatically become an educational video, because if they're asking, everyone else wants to know as well. Getting licensed in multiple states, just everyone's leaving California, so I might as well help them. One of my friends went on a hike with a friend. He lives here in the Bay Area. We grew up together. Incredible mountain biker. You just have to hit like that point where he's like, I can't afford to live here. I go, dude, leave. Like, you have nothing holding you back. Your wife wants to go. Get out of here. He's like, Idaho, or do I move up to the Sacramento area? And he'll take a pay cut moving to Idaho, but there's no income tax. The property tax is lower and the price point's lower. So I'm using Mortgage Coach to give him a side-by-side of, this is what it looks like if you move up Northern California. And this is what it looks like if you move to Idaho. I'm like, this is something I could do as a strategy to help people move, because it is what it is. So I just, these are these what if ideas that I'm always talking about. I wonder if this will work. I think when rates go up, there will be Facebook ads for debt consolidation, because a lot of people are getting into a lot more debt right now. So I'll be using Mortgage Coach and other tools to show people how they can use their home to consolidate their debt and get into a better position. So there's these are all the things, like, just truly like puking it out to you guys. This is all the stuff I'm thinking about. And then it just becomes implementing and executing. You know, you have to, I'm such a fan of simplicity. I think coming from like a rock climbing background and a free diving background, I don't scuba dive because it's too much gear. And with climbing, you pack in ounces, not pounds. So it's, how can I make the biggest impact in the most simplistic way? And that's what I really try to do. So I was just thinking about how Dan is like, got all this new gear. And a lot of people on the call are probably like, as soon as I get that gear, I'm gonna ask Dan what gear he bought. And then as soon as I get the gear, I'm gonna start doing it. Where my video was this, like, this is it. And this is because I love being in the water and stuff, but you don't need anything. Like, Dave was complimenting me on my audio and video quality. He's like, what mic was that? I was like, the GoPro. He's like, yeah, but what mic was it? I'm like, the GoPro. So keep it simple, but I wonder if, and then go. And I just think that's it. But rates go up, debt consolidation, purchase business is going to be everything. And for me, it's like Dan said, like, I never resonated with the call 40 realtors because it didn't feel authentic to me. So I find realtors that I enjoy working with, and then I just really try to build on that relationship. And then they introduce you to people that they like. and you're probably going to have something in common. So I have a group in Southern California that I started working with, and I called them like, hey, let's all go to lunch. Like, you're going to drive down here? Like, well, yeah, I'm going to take you guys to lunch, and I'm going to go lobster diving that night, and then I'm going to drive home. But yeah, like, I want to go to lunch with you guys. I love working with you. And they've already started referring me people. So I just always come back to like, serve people and be authentic, and everything seems to fall into place. Knowing your fundamentals, like Dan said, is paramount, but that's it. Just problem solve for people, and like, always listen to what people are asking you, and find solutions, and you're golden.
I love it. I love it. What a great way to end up. I should throw a couple things out there since you guys mentioned Facebook ads. There's 3. Bill Hillestead did 2 during the Modern Mortgage Summit. There was a 3rd that we actually will have as bonus content in the platform. So those of you who want to learn, Bill's the mad scientist behind that, and in the Modern Mortgage Summit platform, you'll find it. I can't thank you guys all enough for being here. I want to give a shout out to Michelle Castle, who couldn't get her video to work, so we couldn't have her on. But I really appreciate you guys all taking the time. Not only did you give us so much time and energy ahead of the summit, during the summit, but to be here today and add that value was just really huge. So on behalf of Dave and the Mortgage Coach community, myself and the Win by Noon crew, Denise, Dan, Sean, Michelle, Keith, Dan Rawich, thank you guys all so much. And thank you guys for being here this week and watching, or whether you're watching this live or on video, and can't wait to see you guys in the community soon. Have a great week.